shortly after, yeah, that was the most interesting one, to be honest. Basically, what happened is I
Hey,
picked up.
Larry, Emery, don't tell the story just yet.
Yeah, I know. What we're going to do about that?
I never had that happen before. So can we whack it with something? So welcome. We've got Larry Hallman and Emery Allen. Hoş geldiniz, Emery.
Thank you.
And welcome, Larry. Both of you are recently passed out. So you are what's considered to be butter boys. And we want to really discuss today about how you're finding it, what's it like, and being new to the trade, was it worth it, and discuss those sort of things. But what I want to start with is, first of all, Larry, do you know where the term butter boy comes from?
As far as I know, it comes from the older guys saying that we're taking their bread and butter, so we're butter boys. Is that not true?
I don't think so, but it is one of the things, and it is. I can't prove it, but did you think the same, Emery?
No, I thought, is it butter like that we use on the breakfast, or is it butter boy?
Well, I think, I mean, there's been a debate, but about 30 years ago, there was a small article done in one of the papers where someone done a little bit of a background on it. And it does seem to have lost its official concept of where it's come from. But for me, logically, it can't be what you're saying, this taking our bread and butter, which is what a lot of people think. Bread and butter, not bread and butter.
Makes sense though, doesn't it?
Well, what makes more sense is if you understand the way people used to speak 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, more likely is the fact that you are just a boy. You are butter boy.
I got you, yeah.
You are butter boy, not butter boys.
Right.
You are just a boy. You've come to this industry, you're in it, you're just a boy, you're but a boy. And that kind of vocabulary was frequent, I imagine, going back to when Larry was a kid. But that makes sense to you now? I mean, would you think our grandfathers and our fathers would have spoke a little bit more, certainly from the East End, which me and you are from?
Yeah, it makes sense, but it clearly doesn't apply to me. Then I'm not a butter boy because I got my badge at 64. So
yes, no, that's true.
I'm
in that
hardly
sense.
just a boy.
But maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You're a
though.
boy in the industry.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I think that's definitely the most likely. It sounds much more logical and likely to be the genuine thing that it's supposed to be, because taking our bread and butter and a butter boy doesn't really make sense. You're trying to tweak something to fit, whereas the phrase that you are just a boy fits straight away that you are but a boy.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that aside, Emery, when did you pass out?
I passed out end of March this year.
Okay, so
20. No, sorry, it was given direct requisition.
yes,
Oh,
no,
requisition.
not your requisition. No, when did you actually get your badge, start driving?
I started driving on the 25th March was the day I got my badge, and the following day, 26th, I've started working out.
And so they've been working hard since then?
Now and then, yeah. It's nice, but yeah, I enjoy it at the minute.
Okay. So March the 25th, you've been out since then. What's your badge number?
It's 80721.
80721. What's yours, Larry?
613. 80613.
So what's that between the two of you? There's only 100 so badges.
Not much, is it? I can't. When mid-December,
Yeah.
I got my badge. So 4 months,
Yeah.
only 100.
So 4 months, 100 badges. Wow, that's actually quite interesting. So let's get this exactly right. You passed that December. Your badge number is what exactly?
80613.
613, and yours is
3721.
721.
So about 90 people, is it?
No, it's just over 100. 100.
There's
Yeah.
108 badges between December and March. So we now have January, February, March, 3 to 4 months of 100 badges. There used to be around 1,000 badges giving out each year. And under this scenario, we're down to 400 badges each year. So that's a threefold at least decline in the amount of badges given out each year. What was your first job, Larry?
First job was a nice man it was a Saturday morning, early, and it was from Moorgate, bottom end of Moorgate, London Wall End, to Newgate Street. Ideal first job, round the corner, £4, £4.80, something like that. And he was fascinated that I told him why he's getting it and whatever, and he insisted on taking a picture with her. So we got out of the cab and stood in front of the cab and got a picture on his phone
Nice.
so he could show his missus.
Did he send you the picture?
No, I took one myself as well. I don't know if I still got it. But
So yeah, £4.80. You let him off, and it was very short fare. So he was lucky it weren't like a nice roader.
yeah, I, you know what? I don't think I could be honestly able to say whether I would have given a big fare away. I know you're supposed to, and I think I like to think I might have give it away.
Yeah.
But you know, if you're looking at 70 quid or something out to Heathrow, it's a tough one, and it's very easy to say, I'll give the second one away.
Well, it does depend
But
on.
I worry about the karma side of it. You know,
That does.
worry
I was
about
going to say
karma.
it depends on how much you believe in superstition. Personally, I would be much more inclined to not want anyone to give their fares away, but actually donate it to something more worthy. Nearly all the time that we're giving a fare away, it's generally to someone who's working in the city with a very nice, expensive suit on, and they're getting something that really they don't need. And I just always thought it'd be much better. You said, "Listen, you're my first fare. The fare was this. I'm going to donate. If it's £4.80, I'm going to donate £20 to my charity. It would probably be Great Ormond Street because of my brother. And we'd send it there, and it would be much more usable in a sense. Or to, as we done this week, the Disney trip, you could give it to the cab drivers' charities that we have for taking kids away for weekends and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily need to give the first fare for free. It's just if you do believe in certain forms of karma, like maybe you do, Larry, being a devout Buddhist that you are, believing in karma. Emery, what was your first fare?
My first fare was from Upper Street, and it was going to, I think it was Upper Park Road, down Haverstock Hill. And actually, people usually don't forget about the first fare. I think you remember as well, you probably do. But I will never forget my second passenger.
The second passenger?
Never. It was quite interesting.
So the first fare went well and you did that. Did you give that for free or not?
I did. Yeah,
okay. And then the second passenger was shortly after?
Yeah, so I've picked up the gentleman with the two kids, and I've dropped them off somewhere in Upper Park Road. I think it was just off Haverstock Hill. And the fare came to £30 exactly. It shouldn't be that £30, but there was a lot of traffic in the road closure, so I have to go around and all that. So I gave the fare away. The guy was, he was really surprised and all that. I said, just spend on the kids or something.
This is your second fare?
No, the first one.
Oh wow, you gave away
£30. Yeah,
fare.
I gave away, and I said, spend on the kids. And then he was, he didn't know nothing about it. I told him it's the first fare we always give away. He didn't know, so he was so happy. Anyway, so I've dropped him off, came back down Regent's Park, and then I came to Park Road, and I thought I'll go also place, and I just go Malaban High Street, and stopped at the traffic lights at the Elsa place, and then to my right, there's a couple came in, and then they waved. They said to me, "Free?" I said, "Yeah, I am." So they jumped in, and they wanted to go to Euston Station, and I said, "Okay." And then the gentleman started talking to me. He said, "How's your day?" and all that. And I said, "To be honest, it's my first day, and you're my second passenger." And then he said, "Oh, I should have been your first passenger. I want to be your first passenger." I said, "It's all right, why?" He said, "Then you would never, you'd never forget me, if I was your first passenger." I said, "Well, you just missed it by one." And then he said, "So how was your first job?" And I started explaining to him. I said, "I picked the guy with kids and then dropped them off." And he said, "How much was the fare?" I said, "It was £30, but I gave it away." He said, "Why'd you give it away?" He said, "It's the first job. It's traditional.
Yeah.
We don't charge." Oh, he said, "That's nice of you." The lady said, "It's very nice of you." And then he said, "You know what? When we get to Euston Station, and we're going to pay the fare, and plus on top of that, we're going to give you the £30 as well that you gave away." I said, "No, you shouldn't do that." Yeah, we're going to do that. And they were a really nice couple.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we got there, I stopped at the thing at the Euston Station at the drop-off. I just tried to get my hand on stop the meter. I realised that I didn't even start the meter. Did it happen to you as well? I've done it
All
3-4
the time.
times. You know that?
Yeah,
All the
lots of
time.
people.
Did
It's-
3
I keep
times
forgetting.
yesterday.
Yeah.
You haven't
And then
started it.
I didn't start it, and then he goes, "You know what? I just stick a £10 on there, and plus I want to pay you the £30." I said, "No, you shouldn't." He said, "No." He paid me the £10
Yeah.
for the fare from there, and then he gave me £30 cash. He left on the where we put the
Yeah.
cash in. So I was so.
So you're never going to forget your second fare.
Yeah,
He
because of the-
succeeded in his mission
Yeah.
to be never forgotten. And
He did, yeah.
yeah. And,
Exactly.
and you've
So,
got the meter to switch the
I've got
meter on.
meter, yeah.
And you've, with your experience of just one fare, you've got no idea of how to judge what the
Yeah,
price would be
exactly,
for that
yeah.
kind of journey.
he suggested that £10 should be fine. I said,
Yeah.
he said, no, actually, as he said 12, something like that. I said, no, okay, just £10. But then after that, I thought, why did I take that £10? He paid me £30 anyway.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
should have taken it.
Yeah, it's true.
But
Should have said the fare's free.
Yeah.
And the
I should
£30
have,
I'll
but
give for the
I
first
never
fare.
thought about that at that moment. I thought I shouldn't have taken his £10.
Wow.
But then it just happened. But they were a really nice couple all the way through. We just
Well, if we
talked
find
and-
out who they are, you can send them his £10 back.
How can I find it out?
We might be. It might be a fan
Oh.
of the podcast. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, also placed the Euston Station.
There's a 50-50 chance it could be one of the two people who watch this.
Yeah, yes, one or two.
Yeah.
50-50. Ah, but that is actually quite excellent. I mean, yeah, you are right. You perhaps should have
So
said
yeah, I
the
mean,
£10
I gave the first job away, £30, got it back.
straight away. Luck of the Turkish, eh?
Yeah.
They must have liked you. You must have done a good job. So,
Yeah, they
dear.
liked me. They were a really nice couple. We just talked, both of them. Very nice.
And how are you finding it in terms of the routes that you're using? Do the routes relate to what you would have used when you was practicing your point-to-point on daily revision on the point sheets?
Not quite. No, it doesn't.
Would you say it's much easier? What we drive is much easier.
Yeah, I should say. But you see, then again, when you start the journey and then you got a plan in your head, but then on the way halfway through you can just change it. Oh, I should go from here. Then you can just change on the way.
Yes.
But say for instance, if I'm picking up someone from Paddington Station, I'm just gonna go down Malvern Road, Euston Road to go to the city. It's quicker.
Yeah. Easier.
So, but in the knowledge, we don't do that, do we?
No, and the other thing we wouldn't do is if we was travelling along, let's say from Marylebone Station, and we want to go somewhere roughly south, and as we're travelling along Marylebone Road, we might be thinking about, shall I turn right into Marylebone High Street? Shall I turn right into Harley Street? Or your right turns are going to crop up, and
Yeah,
all of them are going
that's
to give
right.
you the same result. So you're kind of not so stressed about trying to do any of it, and it becomes a lot more relaxed. But you also do tend to think a lot more about what's going to have a bus lane in it, what's going to be moving for me rather than me going towards something that got stopped. This brings me to my first fare, which was East Smithfield to Victoria Station, which was relatively easy.
Top marks for memory.
Yes. But it was the fact about the fare which taught me something on the very first day. I think I've mentioned this on another podcast. It was the fact that when I got to the turning of right into Northumberland Avenue, which would be my inclination, knowledge-wise, was to turn right Northumberland Avenue, go up the Mall and come out at Victoria Station and probably drop off, as you would do now in Buckingham Palace Road, just drop them off the left, they could walk through. But on the knowledge, we'd have to get them into the bit more of a better set down.
Yeah.
But when you get to Northumberland Avenue, you think about turning right, you suddenly realise, isn't it going to be better if I just carry on towards Bridge Street and go around Parliament Square? Because as you go up Northumberland Avenue, aren't I going to be sitting
Yeah.
quite a while to get across the lights? And even then, and you suddenly get these dilemmas at the worst possible time, because you're at the light now and you need to make a choice of either carrying on straight or going right. I don't actually remember if I went right or went straight. I just remember the dilemma. But I think now you start to change the way you drive. You do think about what's the simplest and most practical for this particular situation. And you start to become more and more aware of little glitches in the traffic system where you are going to get stuck longer than normal.
Yeah, I mean, in that particular scenario now, I tend to go straight on past Northumberland Avenue and then I go right Horse Guards,
Yep.
left Whitehall, and go around Parliament Square that way. That way you cut out the hold up that you get in Northumberland Avenue, which is pretty bad most of the time. There's always got a long queue to turn right into Northumberland Avenue. It's longer than it used to be years ago when you was first started, because you've now got the cycle lane going east.
Yes.
You've got a set of lights for that. Then you've got a set of lights for the traffic. And so consequently, turning right into Northumberland Avenue, you can have 30, 40 cars waiting to do that.
Yeah.
I just go past that, Horse Guards and Whitehall,
Yeah.
usually to get through to Victoria.
But have your routes changed then, Larry, in terms of the respect of what you would have think you would? Because you was very pedantic on the knowledge.
Yeah.
You were super pedantic. So now as a taxi driver, do you see it completely different? Do you think?
Yeah, completely different. It's like you've said in the past that you do the knowledge to pass the examination, not to become a cab driver. doesn't take you very long once you get out. Doesn't take you long to realise if you're picking up from King's Cross and you're going over to Knightsbridge, you're Marylebone Road, Baker Street, Orchard Street, Green Street, Park Lane, Hyde Park Corner. Every time, without fail. None of your passengers want to be cutting through the West End and getting held up in every other street that you go into.
Yeah.
There's roadworks and everything. You've got the bus lane. Baker Street's never that bad. Green Street, Park Lane. Park Lane's always a delight.
Yeah.
99 times out of 100.
I mean,
So you're going to take the easiest route.
Yeah.
But it's not just easy for you. It's better for the customer.
Yeah.
You will put more money on the meter
yeah.
going through the middle than you will from the extra mileage of going Marylebone Road, Baker Street.
Yeah, I think they intend to pay more if they're stuck in the cab more, isn't it? Like you're stuck in the traffic. So every time you're stuck in the traffic, if I offer the customer you want me to go around quicker, and they always say yes.
Yeah.
They never said no. So I always use the alternative route.
Well, it's quite funny because
Obviously it's longer, but
knowledge-wise, there's an abundance of routes that would come up shorter that are all going through Piccadilly Circus. Whether they're coming down Shaftesbury Avenue or going back up, whether they're coming down St James's Street into Marlborough Gate, and yet in real life, that's the avoidance. If you certainly certain times of night, certain times of day, you go all wide of that every single time. So these are the things we can pick up as we pass out. Now, in that respect, I'll start with you, Emery. Are you enjoying it, and was it worth it?
Well, it was definitely worth it. And I mean, I've passed out in 3 years. Even if I've passed out in like 4 years and 5 years, I still think it was worth it.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy it. Well, sometimes you do feel a bit lonely. It's a lonely job, you're on your own. But most of the times I tend to speak to the passengers throughout the journey. Then time goes by.
It's so funny,
you talk to them.
This is a thing that's really to do with each individual, because I absolutely feel no loneliness at all when I was driving the cab.
Okay.
I really just enjoyed being on my own.
Is it?
It's a chance to be on your
I do
own.
feel lonely, yeah.
And I used to sometimes get annoyed with the fact that I used to like listening to something that would pass the time. And whenever football was on the radio, I'm not a massive football fan, but when football was on the radio, it was easy listening. And someone would get in the bag and always say, what's the score? So you turn it down and say, oh, it's 1-0, and it's okay. So I turn it back up. And are they playing well? You turn it down. You think like, can I just listen to the football? Yeah, you just sit in the back. I'll take you where you're going. Just let me be.
How rude.
Yeah, I know. But I don't want to have particularly a conversation. They get in the cab, and I suppose it's part of our job is to be sociable, but I'm passing the time listening to the radio, and I enjoyed my own company a little bit there. So the loneliness part does affect a lot of people, but not me. Did you, Larry, you get lonely?
I love my own company.
Same as me.
I don't get affected by loneliness at all. So, no, that part of it I don't mind. I found around 50% of the passengers really want a good chat, and 50% don't.
Yeah.
And I just go with the flow. You can generally tell within 10 seconds of getting in the cab whether they want to talk or not. If they want to talk, I'll talk hind legs off a donkey.
Yeah.
If they don't, I'll leave them to it. If you look in your mirror and you see them looking down at their phone, they don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
They're on social media or they're emailing or doing whatever.
You don't instigate the conversations, do you?
Often I will. I'll ask them how their day's been and stuff like that. That's the first question, and that's when you know whether they want to talk or not. If you're getting one-word answers, they don't want to talk. Quite simple, and I'll leave them to it. That's fine.
But you like the conversation, Emery?
Yeah, it's making it more enjoyable. I always, as Larry said, you can understand that in 5-10 seconds that they want to speak or not. And as he said, usually they're on the phone. But if it's a group of them, obviously they talk to each other. So
I know with people listening who are interested in this, they're going to be interested in a few things, and one of the things they're going to be interested in is how much you earn. Was it financially worth it, what you're earning at the moment?
it is, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And for you, Larry, would you agree with that or not? You was a rich man before you started. You don't think it's financially worth it?
I don't earn as much as I used to earn.
Yeah.
But I don't do as many hours as I used to. So it swings and roundabouts. It swings. You have good days, bad days. It's definitely worth it, you know. But I used to earn a reasonable amount of money, so and that just finished. They closed the site, so that's
that ain't coming back, is it?
Option.
So,
That's not coming back.
Yeah.
As in terms of a new career at the age that I was, I'm never going to beat it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could have. It took me a long time working in the company that I was in to work my way up that little ladder and get to the level of earnings I was on. That weren't going to happen again at 62 years old, was it?
No.
So no, this is a good option, and I earn well.
You've raised a good point there, because it's something I've often said as well, and I said it this week to a guy who emailed in. He said he's 56, same age as me, and I said, well, I'm old, what do I do? And it's like, it's a really no-brainer. You are not going to qualify to do anything else. This is the absolute perfect scenario. You have to go away and you have to train for it. But at our age, at this age, you can't go back to university, do a degree and become a doctor or whatever it is that you wanted to do. The dream life is over. Now this is the reality. And doing the knowledge at 50 or even 60 is the absolute perfect opportunity to gain the freedom and a secure and well-paid job for the latter part of our years as a working person. So it's such a strange one where some people think that they're too old. Maybe they're just too lazy at that age in their life to actually do something to make a change.
That's possible. I mean, what you've said is just right. It's the perfect time, especially if you're in a position where you can focus on it completely. Now, a lot of the younger guys who've got a couple of kids and a wife and you know, life, they've struggled to find the right amount of time to be doing the knowledge. If you're 56 years old, your kids are grown up and gone.
Yep.
You know, you might have a wife at home, you might not. You're going to have the time to focus on it 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. Don't mess about.
Yeah.
You'll get through it quite quickly.
So personally, Larry, how old were you when you actually passed out? What was the
64 and a half.
64 years old, Larry, to do this at that stage in life? There is no other way, nothing else you would have done. It is the perfect scenario for you now. It's done and it's out of the way. And I know from my experience of working with you on the knowledge, you applied yourself. And one of the best ways to get through the knowledge is to allow it as quickly as possible to get under your skin and to just let it be the hobby. And the more it becomes that super hobby, the quicker it's over and done with. Emery, how old are you?
46.
Oh, well, you're looking good for 46.
Yeah, I'm going to be
Handsome
47
fella.
next month.
Well done,
Next
sir.
month will be 47, yeah.
So you did it, though. Unlike Larry. Larry was on his own. His children all grown up. You did it with the children and the wife. And
Yeah, I did. Well, to be honest, this is my second attempt.
Right.
I had a first attempt to do the knowledge back in 2007, and I couldn't cope with it that time. And because of the family and the financial wise, I was working full part-time and doing the knowledge part-time, but it didn't work out. It turned out to be full-time, and then and just lost interest. But then 10 years after, he came back again, and this time I was more focused to do it, and I had the right guidance.
Yeah.
A few months after I started from you, then he worked out really good for me, and then and here I am. Yeah, I got the
Well
badge
done.
at the end.
Well done. You 3 years, and Larry, how long did it take you?
2 years, 8 months.
2 years, 8 months, yes.
Start
But
to finish.
was it also your second attempt?
It was my second attempt, yeah. The first attempt was a few years ago. I can't remember how long. It was about maybe 50 something,
Yeah.
early
Okay.
50s. And I started it then because the company I was working for, they made some changes in there, and I really got the hump with them. And I thought, I don't need this. So I thought I'll have a go at the knowledge.
Yeah.
And I got to the point, I actually done everything that you need to do, and I got to my first appearance was actually booked. And then I just emailed them and said, I'm dropping it, coming out of it. I felt as though I'd settled down a little bit in the company I worked for, but I felt as though I was missing out on life as well. There was a lot of things that I wasn't doing, that I was young enough, I should be doing it.
Yeah.
So I just knocked it on the head. It was a bit silly, really. I regretted doing it afterwards, to be honest with you. But having said that, things got better in the company I was working for. If they hadn't shut it, I'd probably stayed there till I died.
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
On your next second attempt, did you do it full time?
Yeah.
And Emery, did you do it full time on your second attempt?
I initially started part-time until the appearances.
Yeah.
And on the appearances, after doing appearances, I start full-time. Yeah.
I have the utmost respect for people who do it part time, because it's so hard to do.
It is. Definitely.
And if you do it full time, it will substantially reduce the years that you're doing the knowledge, because your focus and your ability to enjoy it. There's a space and room to enjoy it, and space and room to find a little bit of time to relax. Whereas when you're doing it part time, well, it would have been for me and you, Larry, if we was doing it full time and we didn't have our families or anything else. But if you're still doing it full time on the knowledge and you have a family and young children, you've still got that extra work. And if you've then got a job as well as a family and young children to take care of, then my goodness, that's...
I honestly don't know how they do it.
No,
I don't know how
neither.
they do it at all. I know some guys take 4, 5, 6 years, 7 years sometimes, and I can only able to get through it as quickly as it could be. So it's 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, no breaks, no mucking about, just get on with it. And then the COVID thing come along, just about as I was finished being the bulk of the bike work, all your runs, all your pointing and everything like that, and I was kind of ready to be coming to the school. I remember this really, really well when we was down at Connaught Road. And I'm not going to the school because I don't want to catch it. It was the early days of when it was serious, if you call it. And I thought, I'll go the wrong way with that. So I just did the same work as I would have done at school at home. But as well as liking my own company, I work very, very well on my own as well. I'm quite disciplined in that respect. So I would be up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock every day, cup of tea, get up the map, working on all the questions. Luckily, the examiners were putting out questions right the way through the COVID lockdowns. And in a lot of ways, that was a bonus to me because I did so much map work, it weren't true. Doing like 10, 11 hours a day of map work, answering every question, right up to the 21s, even when I was on 56s.
I'd advise
All
that
the
to anyone
questions.
anyway. I'd
All
always
the
advise answer all the questions, do as many questions as you can practice. Taking some notice of the questions level isn't really beneficial. If the questions are going to get harder, then surely practice the harder questions so that you're ready for when they come. And if they are harder, then it makes the easy questions easier because you're able to answer harder questions. So you should always be trying to push further. You did make me think of something I used to tell lots of students in the early days, which you don't actually need a school. And not everybody needs a school, but you do need to be a person that knows how to work on your own, and you need to be disciplined on your own. And what the school does give you is that ability to interact, and you can be a little bit less and a little bit more relaxed about the discipline because you're going to go to the school and everything seems to take off. Whereas when you do work at home on your own, you can find yourself making too much tea and watching too much telly and having too many breaks. Whereas when you go to the school, you tend not to. You came to the school, Emery, and
I was at the school every day, literally, apart from Saturdays and Sunday. I used to go out, do pointing.
yeah.
And you see, this is the thing. I think most people get deterred by not doing knowledge because they think it takes 3-4 years.
Yes.
And Larry passed out 2 years and 8 months.
Yep.
And I think we were on the same time, so we were affected by the COVID.
Yeah.
So our appearances were cancelled. So we lost a bit of time to have them.
Yeah, you lost a lot of time.
So
both years
if our appearances were never cancelled, maybe Larry's going to finish in like maybe
2 years.
2 years. And I was going to finish in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So,
that's I'm sorry interrupting. That's a maybe. I'm going to say that's a maybe because I honestly think I wouldn't have done so well in the appearances without that huge amount of map work I was able to do in the lockdown.
are you talking
Where
about
you
the first
did
lockdown?
nothing else, You
Or
did
the first
nothing
lockdown?
else.
I'm going to say you're speculating there on yourself because you've got such high standards for yourself. But I know that your level was above and beyond
I
much
think so
earlier
too.
than you think.
I think,
So I think you'd have been fine.
I think during the 2 years in the school, Larry was the the best
No,
student
no,
I've ever
no,
seen.
no, don't.
Larry was a
silly.
go-to, but the thing
He
is,
was very
what you
good.
need on the knowledge is always someone who has a high degree of pedanticism that's thorough and checked things, because we all carry information, but we all need someone to reassure, or someone who's actually been and seen it, or will go and see it. And if you said something to Larry that he didn't know, I know the next day he'd be out there trying to look for it to find out, so that it's then in his memory, and it'd be in my memory too. So being pedantic on the knowledge is one of the things that I've seen with many students that's a big plus point for them. At the same time, we need a little bit of talent.
Definitely.
And then we need a lot of luck, and the luck comes down
Luck,
to the
hard work.
string of appearances that you get and the events that happen on the way through. You've got lots of family disasters and personal disasters that can happen that are all going to hinder you. And I do think it would be lovely to have done this when I was 21. I did it when I was 26, I think. But to do it when I was 21 would have been perfect, and get it out of the way before life's commitments overtake. Because as you get a little bit older, houses and renting and buying and children and wives and everything else makes it much, much more difficult to do.
Yeah.
How old are your kids, Emery?
16 and 9.
Wow.
So yeah, when I've started the knowledge, my daughter was 6 and son was 13.
Yeah.
And I remember, when I got my first D, that was on my 7th appearance. So I had 4 appearances on the 56s and then 2-0 up on the 28s. So 6 in a row I scored. So every time I come home, I'm scored and kids are happy. So when I scored D for the first time, and I phoned the wife and I said, I didn't score today. She didn't believe me. I said, no, I didn't score. So when I got back home, and my daughter just came and hugged me. So that gave me so much strength,
Wonderful.
because that was the first day, and then
Harika.
she said, "Dad, don't worry." And then that gave me a bit more determination.
Yeah.
I just scored D again afterwards, not straight after, but we had the next one I scored A.
Yeah.
So I was 2-1 up on the 21s,
But it
sorry,
compensated
28s,
it.
and then I dropped down to 21s. Yeah, and then just had another 6 appearances on the 21s, and then I was out.
Yeah.
So I had about 14 appearances in total. That's it.
What was yours then, Larry?
What number of appearances?
Yeah.
11.
11.
Yeah.
So in a sense, what would be nice here is to express the fact that the knowledge can be done relatively quickly and is becoming maybe hopefully more common, but it isn't done quickly if you are not applying yourself. There still is the application that you need to put into. So we are concluding that being full-time does help. I think going to a school or interacting with other people that are doing the knowledge does help. And then, as we say, the little bit of luck. I think you both had lucky appearances at some stage.
What do you mean by luck? You mean
Well, the appearance, you could literally...
by the examiner, or
You
the
could be the
questions?
wrong person in the wrong order. And, for example, you could be going in at the moment with a particular examiner in this at 11 o'clock. Had you gone in at 11:15, you'd have scored. You went in at 11 o'clock, you're not scoring. So there's a luck between... you want to know the answer to every question you're asked. With the more you practice, the more questions you can know the answers to. On some occasions, the appearance that's about to happen is a physical impossibility to score upon, no matter who you are. And if that appearance is lottery ticketed to you, then you're not going to score. So there's the lack of when and how many of these did you fall upon.
And secondary to that element of luck is, no matter how much you've focused or concentrated, how hard you've worked, no one knows everything.
Yes.
And quite often it is a case of you know the answer to the question he's asking you, whereas it could be a slightly different question and you could crash because there's something there that you don't know about. I found this when I started coming to the school and I started working with Joe. Pulled me up on so many things.
That you didn't know had changed or were closed.
It was a two-way street. We helped each other, but I always hold that Joe, everyone else knows stuff that you don't know.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. Nobody knows everything, and that is one of the big benefits of a school.
Of interacting, yeah.
Populated with people who know things that you don't.
Mm-hmm.
So you all help each other.
It does raise a story for me where I had a student that was a very nice guy. I really liked him, but he was very egotistical and couldn't accept what he didn't know. And someone had been asked Ashmore Cottages. And I thought, I don't know Ashmore Cottages. And I asked a few people and they didn't know it. And when I asked him, he said, yeah, I know it. Yeah. And I said, well, they're saying that it's Ashmore Cottages because I had some extra information. They're saying it's in Providence Place. Do you know Providence Place? Upper Street, next to the cinema, the screen on the green.
Yeah. Yes, I know which one you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Is that where it
I
is? That
recall
place?
it now. I recall it.
Yeah,
Tiny
yeah,
little
yeah,
alley.
Yeah,
that's
little
it.
alley.
Yeah.
I think it's called Providence
Not
Place.
sure you fit a taxi down
No,
there.
no, no, you wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
But down there, so the student was asked, down there was a point. It's not
There's
there
a point,
anymore.
yeah.
It's the National Asthma Campaign. Now, I don't know where the National Asthma Campaign is now, but the National Asthma Campaign was in Providence Place. I hope we're getting it right with the name of Providence Place, because I've pulled that out from 30 years of memory of thinking that's what it's called, and I think I'm roughly correct. But the student had conveyed it when they come out as Ashmore Cottages. So the National Asthma Campaign had changed into Ashmore Cottages. And when I've said it to the student, he couldn't accept he didn't know it. So he'd rather say, yeah, I know it. Yeah, it's down there. So I said to him, what? So Ashmore Cottages is in Providence. But yeah, it's down there. It's down there. It's on the right-hand side. Okay. And then it dawns on us what the misinterpretation is. The word has been kind of twisted, and it's the National Asthma Campaign. So now you have a student that's actually claiming to know something because they can't accept they don't, when this place doesn't obviously exist. It's a complete misnomer. So you've got to drop your ego on this thing and just accept that you don't know everything, and none of us do. But did you have the feeling when you finished that there was still something you was meant to learn? There was still further you should have gone?
Well, I think that there were over 10,000 points, haven't they? Like, I think I've never pointed all of them.
No.
I've done about 6,000, I'm guessing.
In
And,
general, yes, considered 6,000 is enough, plenty, and
Something
will be
like that,
more of a
yeah.
conclusive number in the future. But people do go as far as 10,000 and 15,000, but the more points that you know in terms of that realm usually means you've been doing the knowledge a lot longer. Not that you're actually
Yeah,
better
true,
at it.
because
Just means you've had to
makes
chase
sense.
more points over more time.
Yeah.
You should, if you finish quickly, you would finish with about 6,000 points.
Yeah, generally about 6,000 of them.
Yeah.
Maybe north part of London, I was a bit weak.
Mm.
So
How many
I wasn't
times?
perfect.
How many times have you had a fair going to Harlesden and Willesden?
None.
Larry, you had any?
Harrow, I've been to
Oh.
Harrow a few.
I've had about 3 or 4. Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot in the big scheme of things. But I did it. I didn't do it the Whiz M way. I did it the Whiz Larry way.
The Whiz Larry
I
way.
slightly adjusted it. Only because I know myself and I know how I work, how my brain works. I've told you this before, I'm sure. I went and did all of the runs and all of the points
Yeah.
before I applied for even the map test.
Yep.
Not saying this is the right way to do it. It's the Larry way to do it.
Yeah.
Just because of the way my brain works. So I having done all of the points, you then start doing the daily sheet, and there's loads and loads of points come up on there that you haven't pointed, you've never been to.
Yes.
So
Did that not make you realise that you perhaps wasted your time
no,
doing the
no,
points?
not at all, not at all. Because I would utilise Saturdays and Sundays out on the bike. I'd make a list right the way through the week, doing every question on the daily sheet, and any point that I didn't know, I'll make a note of. Then I'll go and
Go
see
visit.
them the
Making a
weekend.
bike list, yes.
So weekend after weekend after weekend, I would go and visit all these new points that I didn't know.
Yeah, but you could have been visiting them much sooner had you not been mucking about pointing points that no one was asking from your Blue Book runs. You could have finished the runs quicker and started pointing from the daily sheets and working currently with stuff that's absolutely up to date. So your Whiz Larry way is definitely something that would have taken you longer to complete your overall goal had you not done that, because you have found points that no one's asking. And then when you look at the daily sheets, you're seeing what is being asked. And the only thing that's important to us is what are they asking. We can try and know every single point in London if you want to, but it's irrelevant to us, because how much of these points have come up in terms of your day-to-day working life?
It's very, very strange you should say that. And fortuitous for me. As an example, one of the points in the original points books was the Oriental Club in Stratford Place.
Yes.
I don't recall ever seeing that come out on the daily sheet,
You're joking.
and I've been there twice.
Okay, the Oriental Club, I mean, obviously I knew it would have come out often. And it's funny with points how they have eras. So I'm shocked that it hasn't come out for a while. Did you know the Oriental
I don't
Club?
recall seeing it.
Oriental Club
Yeah.
in Stratford Place,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
I
it
know.
would have come out for you to know it.
Yeah, I would know it, yeah.
Yeah. So you might not have seen it often then, Larry, but it is got to be a regular point. As well as about, when I did it, there was about half a dozen definitely points in Stratford Place. There was
Yeah.
there's an orchestra. There's a
yeah.
High Commission.
Yeah.
There's quite a few two or three high commissions there, isn't it?
Is it Botswana?
Yeah.
No, it's not
African.
Botswana. Is it? Oh yeah, Stratford Place, Botswana High Commission, Stratford Place.
Larry.
Yeah, it was Botswana.
I've still got it.
For some reason, I had a T in my mind.
Tanzania?
like Tanzania or something like that. But maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, but I'll be surprised if I'm wrong, because that'll be the first time since 1976, the last time I was wrong about something. But what surprises me is how often I take passengers to points that I've learned on the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite nice. It's quite nice to just go, yeah, you ain't got to think about it, you ain't got to look it up, you ain't got to say, what street is that in?
Yeah.
You just go there. And that's quite nice. But also, I think more important than that is the amount of places I ask you to go to that you will never have learned on the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Addresses mostly,
Yes.
talking about.
And streets.
And streets that you won't have been to. You just won't. You know yourself, you've said it, you've finished the knowledge, you might have 7,000 or 8,000 roads under your belt out of 28,000. So the vast majority of them you've never been to, you've never heard of. So you have to be saying, oh, what's that offer? What's that offer?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, do you find it as well that you learned, I mean, you've both not been out super long, but you'll be going up London Bridge and Liverpool Street, and then a lot of fares will go to streets around Clapham. And as you're going to these streets around Clapham, they're all side streets that you've never heard of before. And then you can pop back into town, and the very next person jumps in and wants to go exactly to the street that you've just been to and learnt a week before. And so your knowledge is always expanding from the jobs that you're doing.
Yeah. I've been to the same place 3 times in one shift.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to before, never been to since. That's quite uncanny when they do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no, but that's the law of averages. It's going to happen sometime.
Tune into next week's podcast for part 2 of Butter Boys, where they discuss how much they earn and was it worth it.